Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Friday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there, feeling well, having a great start to your Friday, great start to your weekend, whatever it may be. And certainly appreciate you folks joining me this morning as we try to figure out what's going to happen with the weather for today. Today's going to be kind of a quiet day compared to what we're going to see over the next several days. Tomorrow is already upgraded to an enhanced risk. We're not going to talk too much on tomorrow in this video. We'll focus in on today. But I want to get out there and enjoy today because I think we're going to have a risk for severe weather really going forward over the next several days for the foreseeable future. And we'll get detailed on each day as we get closer to it. But just letting you guys know, I would certainly get out and enjoy the weather, especially here in the southeast. You know, another unusually dry, coolish day here for June standards here in areas of the southeast, the mid-Atlantic. You know, today me and my family were supposed to go to Carowinds, and we're not going for two reasons. The number one reason is because the family is still feeling under the weather. Don't want to go all the way up to Carowinds here locally in the Carolinas and just not feel that great. Two, today was the first day that the water park opened, and it's only going to hit 80 degrees. It's going to struggle to hit 80 degrees. Bright sunshine, but very, very low humidity mixed with the fact that, you know, the family is feeling a little under the weather, a little bit of a cough, scratchy throat. Recipe for disaster. When you have really low humidity, only hitting 80 degrees, you get out that water, you instantly are probably pretty darn cold. So going to end up going later in July, reschedule it then, but definitely asking for prayers that my family feels better. Nobody's really sick, just a little under the weather. But anyways, if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. You guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below so I can do that and so others can do so too. I've not had a chance to answer the comments from last night's video. I'll probably do that later this afternoon and then answer all these comments for this video. So if you notice I haven't acknowledged anything from last night, just haven't had time to read them yet. But what's going on out there? We'll pull this cursor up. Let's see if it's working. And it is. So we're good to go. Cold front in general is kind of sagging down like this. So dry air is in this entire area right here. A lot of dry air, stable air. Feels more like spring, or you could say fall. Certainly you can tell outside in my neck of the woods here in Columbia, which I'm right here. It feels very crisp out there, you know. Not crispy like Kentucky Fried Chicken or anything like that, but the air feels nice and just, it feels like you walk outside and it's like a fall morning out there. It continues. We continue to get troughing cold fronts in June, and it's just it's just the summer that just really cannot get a kickstart. And I mean, some of the people's pools in the southeast are struggling to warm up, and it's just been an unusual start to summer. It really has. But just south of this cold front, you're going to probably have a chance for some strong to severe storms, not widespread. We'll watch that. And then you got a flow that's kind of going like this on the back side of this trough, right? And then you still got this little bit of a spin up here, and you got a flow that's going more so like this up through Montana, dealing with a lot of rain up in Montana right now. You got flash flooding issues, some ridging popping off right into here. This will really heat up Texas today. And outside of that, you continue to have troughing in the west, so you remain much below average temperature wise. But we'll kind of see what happens today. That's in general the flow out there and what's going on. If we take a look at kind of what's going on at the surface, dealing with an organized area of showers and storms in eastern South Dakota. More widespread showers and storm activity, and more so just heavier rain in Montana. Even Washington State, you're waking up to a very soggy morning for the western half of Washington State. You still got these showers that are kind of rotating around this area of low pressure in the northeast. This has been the case for the last several days. Pretty wild it's lasted this long. This will probably bring a little bit more smoke, you know, across the mid-Atlantic, you know, areas of the Ohio Valley today, where you're going to have poor air quality again. But I don't think it's going to be as bad as the last couple of days. But for certain areas, it might. And then you got an area of heavier rain kind of blasting through Arkansas this morning. You take a look at watches, warnings, flood watches up in the green and the dark green up here in Montana, several counties in Washington State, a few counties in northern Idaho, and even Oregon and southwest Idaho. In the gray, these are air quality alerts, so this is where you're dealing probably with a little bit of smoke, and also just the fact that some of these areas are urban areas. Like if you notice, This is right around the St. Louis area. This is right around the Memphis area. This is right around the Birmingham area, Atlanta, Charlotte, kind of. This looks like this is Raleigh, Winston-Salem, Greensboro area, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Tulsa. You get the picture here. Now, there's certain areas where the entire state of Pennsylvania, entire state, have air quality alerts. So this makes more sense because there's more smoke up here in this region today. So just be aware. The Storm Prediction Center, pretty large area that has a marginal risk. We'll see if this upgrades today sometime. But as of now, today will be the quieter day. You do have a risk for general thunderstorms up here in the Northeast. I think some of these heavier showers could produce some thunder, some very small hail in this region. Would not be surprised at all as it rotates around this upper low up here in the Northeast. And just south of the boundary of this cold front, you'll have a marginal risk in Florida, the very southern areas of Georgia for some strong and severe storms. And we'll see what happens with that. But the risk of these, and no real tornado risk for this today, but you got just a general risk of damaging winds, maybe some hail with some of these risk areas. But this is just typical summer type stuff, guys. Nothing's really unusual about this, at least. Now, cold front draping this far south, that's a little unusual, but not rare by any means. But really the flooding risk today, the big story will be in Montana, where you have a moderate risk of flash flooding occurring. That is at least a 40% risk of flash flood guidance being met. The yellow is the same criteria, but it's a 15% risk. So you continue to deal with too much rain up here, and we'll see when we can finally break down this pattern up here. But it continues to this area continues just to get wave after wave of every day in the late morning, afternoon, evening hours of just heavier shower and storm activity in this region. The Southeast today, not a whole lot to speak on, really isn't, and that's just because you got the cold front that's draped across this area, and so you'll get nice, bright, sunny conditions with low humidity. The only area that I'm watching, one will be later this morning to early this afternoon for this area of South Florida, where I think you could get some tropical type downpours. Very rainy day for the Bahamas. I would watch this area right here, kind of the panhandle of Florida, North Florida, for some more stronger storms, maybe a severe storm or two. But watch an area of showers and storms that could drift through Arkansas later today. But along the immediate Gulf Coast, just some pop-up downpours are possible, a little bit closer to these storms that could get going in the panhandle of Florida today. Here we go. This pops up around 3 or 4, or anywhere from 2 to 4 p.m. And, I would watch out Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Tallahassee. All these regions right in here could certainly see a strong storm or two. I mean, even further down the Florida Peninsula could see some strong storms, but I think they'll be more scattered in nature up here in North Florida. So be aware of this. If you're traveling down here, vacationing down here, you definitely can see a strong storm or two for all of the Panhandle, Florida, North Florida later today. Then they diminish with the loss of daytime heating as you get into the evening. The Northeast today, you already got some showers. As we get into about lunchtime going forward, numerous showers and even some storm activity. Some of these I can almost guarantee you will produce some hail up here from New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, even down into Connecticut. You still got this weaker low pressure still spinning around up here. This is the mechanism for lift of all these small little cells of heavy rain. And like I said, you got cold air aloft with this upper low. With any kind of upper low, you got a lot of cold air aloft. Some of these are going to produce hail. And this is really just anywhere from New York State, even northern PA could see it, all the way throughout the entire rest of the interior Northeast could see some heavier downpours today, all the way until you get to the late evening and then these weekend, and then you're done with it. So definitely expect this for all those states I just mentioned. Pretty much everybody has an equal chance to see it. As far as smoke, you're dealing with it this morning somewhat. I think you'll continue to deal with it. I think today in like Delaware, areas of Maryland, southern PA will be a very smoky day. I think as you get into the late evening hours, the smoke will let off some, and I think we'll get a break going into tomorrow with the smoke. But a smoky day kind of along the mid-Atlantic regions, but definitely not comparable to the last few days. The south central U.S., quiet all the way to the afternoon hours, and then some shower and storm action will get going in eastern Colorado, Kansas. I would say western Kansas is where you get more widespread action. And then, I would watch down here in southwest Texas too. Some heavier rain could get going, maybe a storm or two. But I'm not expecting a very active day, even though you got a marginal risk. But any of these areas that you don't see any storm activity, that doesn't mean you're not going to get any. So Oklahoma, you could see some storms today. This just one run of the HRRR model doesn't show any in this area. But I would say you're almost guaranteed to see rain in eastern Colorado, especially southeast Colorado, western Kansas later today into the evening hours. And then I think this will continue to be going as we get into the morning hours. And we could have some area of storms somewhere in Oklahoma, Kansas, as we're waking up tomorrow morning. We'll see how that evolves and how that happens. The NAM was really aggressive with this in last night's run, but we'll see what happens as we're waking up tomorrow morning. The north central U.S., you'll get kind of the revamping of some shower and storm action here in western Minnesota, maybe western Iowa, maybe the far corner, southeast corner of South Dakota. And then as we get full-fledged into the afternoon, the evening hours, widespread storm activity is likely for probably, I would say, western Minnesota, some areas in North Dakota, but more widespread here in South Dakota, Nebraska. This will be very pop-up in nature. Not everybody's going to see rain, but you could get some more organized clusters to kind of get going here on the backside of this flow from this huge upper trough here to the east, and these will be working its way more so north to south. So I'd watch out, Omaha today, far eastern South Dakota, but you get some storm action also in the western Dakotas moving the opposite direction. So you got kind of competing currents, and then these all kind of get lost in the flow from the cyclonic flow off this upper low over here, and then you're waking up tomorrow morning with probably still some scattered shower and storm activity in South Dakota. But today, just in general, this entire region that you see here, just a risk of storms. Kind of a typical summer type pattern. The Rockies, you still got this spin. You stop it right here. This is around 4 or 5 p.m. today. Definitely some heavy rain in eastern Oregon. You got storm activity, some shower activity in Nevada, Idaho. More widespread shower and storm activity, more so clustered together in Montana. This could produce a lot of heavy rain, guys, up in Montana, northern Montana. And, even look right here, kind of in southern sections of the state of Montana. More organized storm activity is possible. Some of these storms look intense right up here in northern Idaho. So just another day of it. Another day of widespread shower and storm activity in this region. If you look at rainfall from this, you could have a corridor of heavy rain shooting through Montana into western areas of South Dakota. Maybe western areas of South Dakota could get 1 to 2 inches of rain from this. But more rain in Montana, but not everybody will see it certainly. But you go into the Pacific Northwest here, and more rain for Washington State. Certain areas could get a ½ inch to 1 inch of rain. Eastern Oregon, certain areas could see ½ inch, maybe even 1 inch of rain. So a lot of rain, just a rainy pattern up here. So definitely embrace the rain, I guess. But it's heating up big time along the Gulf Coast where this cold front has not cleared. So 90s, very warm, hot beach day for vacationing around the Gulf Coast, well into the 90s. Especially if you work about 30 miles inland. But Texas and Oklahoma, hot 90s, near 100 degrees, likely the low 100s in southwest Texas, 90s all the way up into Kansas. Cooler day in the northeast, and then the 70s and 80s are very comforting. There's very dry air, nice. This is very nice 80s, meaning you got low dew points, temperatures in the 80s, very nice conditions because you're being dominated by the air mass behind this front in this region. So very nice air mass right here. You get into the western U.S., well below average temperatures for everybody. So take what you normally see this time of the year and out west and just expect much lower temperatures. Everybody out west is below average. The desert Southwest, the Pacific Northwest, everybody is. So except Texas, you're starting to warm up to around average temperatures. Tomorrow will be a severe weather day for sure. Enhanced risk for severe weather. And all of North Texas, Northeast Texas includes Dallas, includes Shreveport, Louisiana, a very small section of Southwest Arkansas, and in several counties in southern Oklahoma. Slight risk surrounds that. And guys, tornado risk is low with this, 2% risk. But the hail risk, you got a 30% risk of winds exceeding 50 knots or higher, and then a 30% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger, with a hatch risk right over the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which means you have a 10% risk of significant hail, 2 inch in diameter or larger. So tomorrow is going to be a big severe weather day. We'll figure it out for you guys, and we'll talk about it, and we'll get it. We'll discuss in detail to keep you guys aware. God bless all y'all. Have a great Friday, great start to your weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon.